Since the initial creation of my team, the backline remains unchanged following promising performances from both the rookies and premium players. With Lloyd participating in the State of Origin game, he did not take part in the Swans' 94-point loss to the Giants. With just 15 possessions, Lloyd finished with 53 fantasy points for Victoria, which is far below his expected AFL average, but that is to be expected in a match with an abundance of quality players. So Lloyd will keep his place. Dan Houston ticked every box in his game on Sunday, attempting 24 out of 30 centre bounces to get 95 fantasy points. If his increased midfield time continues into the season, Houston will be a certainty in my team for the entirety of the year. Despite a slow start, Doherty showed signs of his former self to finish with 79 points, with 19 touches and 7 marks, which is more than enough to remain in my starting 22. I have faith in Doherty to average 90 plus to start the season, when he returns to full fitness and is firing on the stat sheet again. Dylan Robertson did not take part in round 1, but is still expected to play round 1, as St Kilda reported he has begun playing full practice games for the club. At 327k, Robertson is still too good of an option to pass up on at his price. Hayden Young picked up a minor injury which will likely keep him out for both pre-season matches. If he is cleared for round 1, Young will certainly keep his spot in my backline. Will Gould also struggled to get into the game early on against the Giants, but a solid final quarter and a half resulted in a fantasy output of 47 for the young Swan. With his place in the Swan side looking greater than other rookies around the league, Gould is likely to be in my squad come round 1. At the moment, I'm still very torn between which Bulldog should be my premium midfielder. McRae and Dunkley are both elite options. However, McRae's 126-point effort against the Kangaroos was 27 higher than Dunkley, which gives me the idea that Dunkley might lack the consistency that McRae has shown the last 2 seasons. If Dunkley can match or better McRae in the Dogs' next fixture, then he has a very high chance of returning to my squad due to his lower price and ownership. As expected, Clayton Oliver delivered 123 fantasy points in his first game of the year. I expect that to continue from him throughout the season, so he will remain in my squad. As was the case with Lloyd, Cripps did not participate in the Marsh Cup game for the Blues due to State of Origin duties. We will have to wait until round 2 to see how the Carlton captain goes in his first game back in club colours. Tom Mitchell had a relatively quiet return to AFL footy with an output of 72 points, but that is to be expected from a player recovering from a broken leg. No changes will be made there. Hugh Greenwood enters the side on the back of his 114-point effort against the Cats. However, his ability to be placed in the forward line makes me hesitant to position him in the midfield. I see fantastic value in the Gold Coast midfielder and would like to make him part of my roster to start the season, but currently fielding 3 Suns midfielders is a minor concern for me at the moment. My plan is to migrate him into the forward line before the start of the season. His replacement is my only worry at the present moment. Top draft picks Rowell and Anderson both played predominantly in the midfield for the Suns to produce scores of 81 and 55, more than enough to keep their spots in my side. Marlon Pickett had a red-hot start in the Tigers contest against Collingwood, but took the foot off the gas in the final 3 quarters to finish with a score of 44. At 170k, there is no reason to consider replacing the Tiger unless he fails to be selected come round 1. As expected, no changes have been made to my ruckman after the first round. Grundy did not play in the Pies game against the Tigers, making way for young Cameron to shine with a score of 107. Riley O'Brien finished with 83 points after sitting out much of the final quarter. O'Brien looks ready to recapture his 2019 form, and with other ruckmen like Jacobs and Natanui underperforming, I'm all the more confident that these will be my 2 starting ruckmen come round 1. Since my initial team reveal, plenty of changes have been made to my forward line, and plenty more are expected to be made before the transfer deadline. Whitfield keeps his spot as the premium forward after scoring 81 points for Victoria. Darcy McPherson joins the team as the 4th Suns player in my starting 22, after his mammoth 131-point effort against the Cats. Although I'm impressed by what I saw, I will be looking for another score above 100 from McPherson before I lock him into my team, with Dustin Martin the player to replace him, given he underperforms. Andy Brayshaw was impressive for the Dockers with his 90 fantasy points. My only concern for him is how his role changes when Nat Fyfe returns to the midfield. Brayshaw will certainly be a player to keep an eye on in round 2. Mid-prices Aidan Bonner and Chase Jones enter the forward line with their scores of 71 and 64 respectively, replacing John Patton, who despite kicking 3 goals and scoring 71 fantasy points, makes way for the time being. Despite their awkward prices in the 300,000 range, I'm confident that they will both provide solid job security, scoring outputs, and reasonable cash generation from round 1. Finally, Mitchell Georgiades is my final forward, priced at 236k. His 37-point effort was below what I expected from the rookie, but it seems the young forward is in the Powers' long-term plans. Therefore, should provide decent job security and scores from the forward line. If he can break into or beyond the 60-point region in his second game for the club, he'll be a good chance to start the year in my team. The bench is certain to be changed before the deadline, but for the time being, King and Rankin move to my bench. Cameron is a lock as my backup ruckman, and McLennan, Goddard, McHenry and Bytel all remain for the time being. My current captain is Brodie Grundy, being the most expensive player in my team, with Jack McRae as the vice-captain. Please leave your thoughts and suggestions below in the comments, along with any questions you might have about your fantasy team.